I want to thank everybody for coming, for joining us in making this announcement. My next job is to introduce Ross DeBaum from the Milken Institute. He'll talk a little bit about the project and the process that the Milken Institute has for looking at the quality of cities here in our country, and then he in turn will introduce our honored guest, Mayor Ed Lee. So let me turn it over to Ross, and after the comments we should have a little time for questions and conversation. Ross.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. We have been performing this project since 1999. It was originally published in Forbes, but we decided to take it in-house and publish it ourselves about 4 or 5 years after that. The index is really an outcomes-based measure of economic performance. It doesn't look at traditional business costs or housing costs or quality of life, such as crime rates. We believe that those static measures are certainly important, but they don't cover the true dynamics, and they can be very subjective. So we believe that communities that can create jobs and attract human capital are the best performing cities over the long haul. The goal is to really help businesses, investors, industry associations, economic development agencies, academics, public policy groups monitor and evaluate performance in where they work and where they live relative to the rest of the country. And as we've already noted, it's no surprise we're releasing this today in San Francisco, since San Francisco is #1 this year. Yes. In a moment, we're going to see what a remarkable accomplishment that is as I go through some of these metrics. What I would like to do is acknowledge my co-authors who are with us today. Manoli Radatunga, who's here. Could you please stand? She's there in the back waving. She did the hard work of putting the metrics together and a lot of the analysis. And also joining us is Armin Bedrosian, who is an adjunct fellow with the Institute. And he projected 2 years ago that San Francisco would move to #1, so he decided to change careers away from being an economist and move back to San Francisco to run the family business, which is a sub-center in the West Portal area. Armin, you're here somewhere. I saw you there. He's in the back beside the roller. So if you need a sub, 820 Ulloa Street, the West Portal area. And, Armin can not only sell you a sub, he can also give you some economic advice. So in the 2014 index, there's really 2 top stories, and they are technology and shale oil. They are the overarching factors behind this performance. And these metros in this list possess a variety of other positive traits than the ones I just mentioned, but those are the factors that are really determining the top 25. Several metros on the list, all the way even down to the top 25, are really, they have the innovation advantage. They're able to offset high costs, sometimes higher tax rates, and a burdensome regulatory environment by clustering talent and technology together in an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And that's really what the leaders in this list will demonstrate. Also, technological advances in horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing are altering the energy landscape of the United States. Energy investment claimed the largest share of GDP last year since the early 1980s. And the U.S. is producing 4 million barrels of oil more per day than it did just 5 years ago. Now, going forward, recent oil price declines may change that dynamic such that further investments in oil exploration may not be at the same rate as they have been, but many people believe that oil prices recovered $70 a barrel, there still will be a shale oil revolution underway in the United States. So, as I mentioned, San Francisco, let's do it here, was #1. But, you know, Rick Perry has touted performance in Texas metros for many years. He wasn't #1 this year, couldn't claim it, but he did have 5 out of the top 10 in this list. And so Texas has a unique combination of tech, energy strength, and a very favorable business climate. California had 4 metros in the top 25 as well as Colorado did. And there were 7 metros in the top 25 that were really there because of the energy explosion in the United States. And another depiction of that is we have our small best performing cities. They are roughly the 179 smallest metros. And Fargo, North Dakota, Minnesota was #1 among that group, largely related to oil exploration activity and the positive spillover effects. And in another warm climate area, West Palm Beach was the biggest improver from year to year, moving up 93 spots from last year. And that has to do with the end of the housing bust in that area of the country. So these are some of the metrics that we use in evaluating metros. We look at job growth, wages, technology growth over the most recent 5 years and over the most recent 1 year. That smooths things out over the business cycle, doesn't let any 1 year determine the rankings because that can be very volatile. So we also include year-over-year job growth in the most recent month, which is in this case, prior to publication was August of last year. So employment and wages are more highly weighted because they are critical to community vitality. Wages and salaries signal the quality of the jobs being created in a metropolitan area. And also there are other measures that measure the concentration of diversity. And it's really a way to look at a community's involvement in the so-called knowledge-based economy. This is a chart that shows employment growth relative to the peak of this recession relative to others. And what you'll notice is that this recovery has been relatively mild compared to previous ones. And overall job growth in the country really determines some of the pattern of regional growth around the country. Now the good news is that in the second quarter of last year, all of the 8.7 million jobs that were lost during the previous recession have finally been recovered. So we are finally adding jobs in the United States overall. Now let's get to San Francisco and let me run through some of these metrics that really are astonishing when you look at them. San Francisco was at the top of the list, and it's just a truly remarkable recovery. It's the entrepreneurial ecosystem that exists here in social media, mobile apps, cloud-based computing and storage, software, computer systems design, internet publishing, clean tech, biotechnology, and medical research. In short, it's the creative and scientific economy that are both here. Once again, it's the clustering of technology and talent that shows you the advantages that operating in a dense urban environment can provide that offsets higher tax rates and cost of living. So in terms of job growth, over the past 5 years, San Francisco, the metro area, division, ranked 5th in the country across all metros, and that's just really a remarkable accomplishment, as I said. So what really catapulted San Francisco ahead this year relative to Austin, which was second this year, was its first place finish in wage and salary growth over the past 5 years and in 2013. So San Francisco had the highest overall wage growth in the country over that period of time. And so it is really the quality of these jobs that are driving that high wage growth in the technology sector. And it's no surprise that all these young, talented, skilled workers are flocking into the city. And the demand is driving up wages. So unemployment in these tech-related occupations is below 2% today in the area. And when you consider that San Francisco has double the concentration of technology that the U.S. does overall, strong growth, a strong base, it results in a lot of economic activity because the employment multiplier is around 5, meaning there's 4 other jobs that are created outside of the tech area that are dependent upon one tech job. This shows you the category of professional, technical, scientific services employment, employment in that area. And it really, when I looked at the data, I was surprised. I didn't believe it initially. But over the past 5 years, 25,500 jobs have been created in this category. And it accounts for 45% of total job growth in the Metro Division. It's just, once again, an amazing accomplishment. These occupations pay over $90,000 per employee versus the U.S. average of about $70,000 in these same categories. And when you look more specifically within the tech sector, $160,000 per employee. So these are very high wage jobs. We all are aware of the rapidly expanding startups, Dropbox, Uber, Clip, you can go down through the list. They are hiring at a rapid clip, and they are absorbing tremendous amounts of office space in the area. But it's not just startups. Companies like Oracle are diversifying their employment base, hiring in the city, hiring programmers and developers in the city. And firms are scrambling to find enough space. So for example, Salesforce is hopefully going to be moving into a new office tower within the next couple of years. And even Bloomberg is opening an R&D facility south of Market to be near the tech corridor. So medical research, biotechnology, along with social media and apps are really fueling this growth. Along with the University of California, San Francisco Medical School, it's expanding its research and clinical footprint. Let me briefly mention a few others. Austin was second, and it is the most consistent performer in our top 5. It's a dynamic generator of jobs in the technology sector. Just to give you a sense of the consistency, it ranked 1st, 3rd, and 9th in job growth respectively from 2008 to 2003, in 2003, and year over year in August of this year. And also it has very high wage growth. Another part of the country, also still in the west though, Provo, Orem. It was in the top 3, and really between San Francisco, Austin, and Provo, they were very close at the top 3 there. And Provo actually led the country in job growth over the past year, rising 5.3%. So another significant accomplishment. And when you look at gross metro product in Provo, it grew by 7.5%, versus for the U.S. about 2.4%. So low taxes, favorable business climate there. Fortunately, we have another Bay Area economy in the top 5, San Jose, the Silicon Valley area, and it is still the largest technology hub in the country and in the world for that matter. That division employs 270,000 people in the technology sector, and it has the hardware component of high tech. So the Sand Hill Road venture capitalists not only fund firms in the valley, but they're funding firms here in San Francisco now, and it is one of the most successful ecosystems in turning research into profitable companies, and also has a very high level educational attainment. So Silicon Valley has double the U.S. average of people with a master's degree or above at 21%. So 21% of the workforce in Silicon Valley has a master's degree or above. Also representing the Southeast, Raleigh Cary, also another perennial top performer. It has solid employment growth in the past several years, and actually saw its job creation rate accelerate in the past year, and over the past 12 months was 4th in that category in the country. Let me just briefly mention some of the small performing metros. As I said, Fargo was number 1. Very diverse economy for a small metro. It has healthcare, it has financial services, and other things. We'll see what happens given the decline in oil prices in terms of the oil boom. But overall, looking at the numbers, it truly was a remarkable performance by San Francisco. And let me introduce the man who has been leading that effort. I'm not one that typically stands up and tells what great jobs mayors are doing, but I tell them what they should be doing, that Mayor Lee is showing us what should be done and deserves a lot of the credit for this growth in technology and all the creative services jobs and improving the quality of life in the community. Mayor Lee.
Ross, thank you for that wonderful presentation. And Jim, it's always a pleasure to work with you in the Bay Area Council, the Milken Institute. Thank you for showing that San Francisco continues to be the best city to live, to work, and to play. And I am very, very honored to be its mayor. I get to work with quite a few great talent in our city, and some of them are in the audience that help me continue making this city a success. I want to say, too, that this has not been the case, and I've been around long enough to know that. You know, my favorite line in this discussion, Ross, is that our job growth is really an unrivaled accomplishment, quote unquote. And you know, we forget sometimes, just not very long ago, how hard it was to imagine this, and how unprecedented this recovery is, given that when you look at the other cities that we're compared to, you know that we're very limited geographically. So we have to be pretty inventive as to how we do this. And we have worked hard. There's some basic things that I'll share with you as part of the panel today as to how we may have gotten there, but we weren't seeking to be the best city. I think we're just seeking to make sure we got out of this recession well, and that we're always going to be talking with our business partners. Because one of my main questions with the business community is, help me look around the corner. Help us as a city, as a region, prevent ourselves from being thrust into another recession. What are the jobs and the industries that sustain itself throughout any economic challenge that the nation might confront us, or now these days the world economy could impact us? So we worked hard to earn this title, and I think that now that we've created more jobs than any time in our city's history, we're not going to sit on this. We're going to really try to move forward. And those of us that have lived in San Francisco and seen our city and our region's growth know this firsthand. We know that businesses in our downtown and our SoMa are growing. We've seen those companies from the valley slowly move to and expand in San Francisco. And we have seen this as a positive thing. There's amazing success stories of not only those that have grown here, but now those that have started here have become titans in the business community. Salesforce, Twitter, Yelp, and so many others. You know, this amazing story also says to us that we're excited, and I'm excited because it isn't just one sector. This is the thing that I will repeat over and over again. Industries like healthcare, like biotech, tourism, construction, manufacturing, and more. But we also see technology very strongly woven into all of these different industries. And this is the excitement that I continue to share with our Chamber of Commerce, with our SF City technology companies, with all of the different sectors, is that it isn't just one, it's all of them. And that gives us a tremendous opportunity because all of these sectors have helped people get back to work, have created the revenues that we can invest right back into our neighborhoods, into our small businesses, into infrastructure, into the people to help create the city to become a continuing attractive city. Because without that investment, you're going to quickly see that the very talent that the companies have recruited here, and one of the greatest assets that we have is our talent. But that talent won't be here unless we continue thrusting forth a diverse city, a city that's exciting to them, that keeps their minds focused on being successful and being integrated and being a world-class city. So when I say that we're not sitting on our success, I also say we're building upon our success. You know, we've raised the minimum wage here. That's an excitingly good thing for people who really feel that they can't afford to be here. We're investing in transportation. We're implementing very serious tax reform. How could you have a tax system that was literally taxing jobs when you're saying, I want those jobs in our city for everybody? We're investing in our city's youth, in families, and education systems to an unprecedented level. And I was with the school district the other night as they swore in the school board members that were just elected. And I spent the entire evening with the school district. I wanted to demonstrate how important education is to the entire city. We're building housing, and you're going to hear me this year and any other year, whether I'm elected or not. It's going to be housing, housing, housing for middle income, for workforce housing, for our low-income dwellers. We're going to make sure that the residents benefit from a successful city. You know, San Francisco is proving, and it will continue to prove, that you can have a strong economic growth city and still be a socially progressive leader for the nation. This is important, I think, to the conversation to the rest of the country. And I'm going to be talking about that over and over again, because we can take care of a lot of people who have struggled when the economy was bad. When it's good, this is where investments should be. The two simply aren't mutually exclusive. And we can and will continue to support not just economic development, but our people, our families, our youth, our homeless, our kids who didn't get the attention, and now they got our full attention. We want them to succeed, and all of our residents succeed. So with this story, I want to just add value to that. We're not sitting on success. Just because you're number one, we need to be number one in many other categories, and particularly when it comes to our family and youth, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So with that, I'd be glad to participate in the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
So we'll have we'll take a few minutes for a brief discussion, and then the mayor has other business to go on to. I did want to recognize the Bay Area Council's chairman, President and CEO of Virgin America Airlines, David Cush, is with us here today, as well as Mr. Kish Rajan, who is the head of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. See how they do it here, Kish. You can tell them how to do it in the rest of the place. So I don't know if this works. I don't know if you need this or not. We need that. So I think, Mayor, you answered. I had a number of questions for you, and you answered them all in your brief statement, which shows how well prepared your staff has made you. But I wanted to ask, flesh out on the issue. A lot of folks have said having all these high-wage jobs has put pressure on the city's housing stock, and we know that's the case. So talk a little more about your plans for housing in San Francisco and how to address this.
Well, I put out a really aggressive goal. We have talked to many parts of our community, including even this morning when I was being yelled at a coffee shop for the kind of expense that people are having to deal with when they're dealing with housing. So not only do I hear it, I feel it. And I'm sharing that feeling with not only our workforce, but even when I go to education institutions, and I know that Les is here from SF State as our chancellor, and he's been with me when I've been on these business trips on Tuesdays to talk to the workforce and talk to everybody about what the needs are. And housing is a serious challenge. One, because we have historically underbuilt our city. We simply did not pay attention to this. We kind of said, you know, housing is for the private market, we can't build it. Well, that's not true. Once you start figuring this out, there's a tremendous opportunity ahead of us. 30,000 units of housing built and rebuilt, we can see our way forward on that. Assuring that at least a third is going to be permanently affordable to low-income persons and families. At least 51% of that 30,000 will be affordable to working families. We're figuring that out. I have engaged the development sector with me, and it's exciting because, you know, when you're pressured like we are in a housing crisis, innovation is the way forward, and we're innovating our way. We're tackling where land is affordable. We are also controlling that land where public land is. We worked with a school district, for example. You're going to see the first example come out where I'm going to go ahead a little bit and say, you know, right at Mission Street, where the school district used to own this piece of property, they didn't know what to do with it for 2 decades. It was sitting there across from BART station. And we're going to develop that. We're going to be announcing that very soon, about 125 units. That's going to be an example of how rapidly we can move forward. But there are many, many sites that are available. There is incentives that we can provide to the private developers that are building market rate housing today, that they are willing to put forward increased number of affordable units as a result of the incentives that we're talking about with them. At trade-offs, this discussion is going on with the private sector as well as different agencies where we can trade off for office buildings and more housing, as well as the people that are building market rate housing. This conversation to me is exciting because I think now you're going to start seeing some tremendous solutions to this because of the innovative spirit that we have. We're not just lying back and saying we got a problem. We're actually moving forward with some very good ideas, and we're moving forward with our business community to contribute to that in a very serious way.
So one quick question, we'll let you go. You talk to a lot of business leaders of early stage and mid stage and established companies about the opportunities in San Francisco. What do you tell CEOs of these companies about why San Francisco?
Well, you got to look at what we have done because that will demonstrate our commitment. I have believed from day one, I've got to make the city investor confident. And investor confident is a very broad range of things. I signaled right at the beginning I was a jobs mayor because I wanted to get out of that recession. I wanted to have a good, solid economic base from which to work with, and we have done so. We have done that well, but there was a goal. The goal was not just to be financially rich for the city. It was to then take that ability and make sure that all of our residents start benefiting from it. So when we say that we have a diversified economy, it isn't just one sector. It's not just the tech sector. When we invited Twitter to stay in the city, it wasn't because just of that company. We wanted that investment in mid-market. And we were going to do a legacy thing, and now you see that change happening. Now there's 20 companies there, thousands of workers there, but also you see the housing that's going up there, and they're contributing to affordable housing. These very companies are also turning around and saying, we're going to help you with the Tenderloin. We're going to help you with South of Market challenges. We're going to help you with the arts community. And now you're going to see not just mid-market, you see the entire Market Street, from the Ferry Building all the way up to the Castro, enlightened with this. And so the arts community is being revitalized, housing, schools. I have companies that don't even want credit. They want to make sure they help our homeless. And you're going to see the end of chronic homelessness, the veterans, literally within the next few months. And this is another announcement I'm coming out with, but it's one I'm excited about because we're taking sectors of things that have challenged us for many decades, and we're finding solutions, and we're doing it with the very people who believe they need to be involved. I also say that in this sector of business, I repeat, it is multi-sectored. The healthcare industry provides tremendously good paying jobs, and yet we are creating healthcare sector academies for our most lowest income people in public housing to get the skill sets to serve and be part of that healthcare system. And we graduated the last 50 of the second class just a few weeks ago. You should see excited, they're all got jobs. And they're all coming directly from our public housing. You're going to see that repeated over and over again, not only in healthcare, but in hospitality. We have sectors there. Of course, in the tech sector with SF Tech, you're going to see that reflected in local manufacturing. Local manufacturing to me is one of the most important areas of innovation that we have. You're going to see this blend. You can see fashion coming back to the city, blended with people who want to make beer and candy and chocolates, making things and having that made in SF brand is going to be so important. You're going to see, hopefully, with Chancellor Wong's leadership, a technology science campus of SF State right there in Hunters Point Shipyard. These are the things we're working on. It's exciting to involve all of our communities because that's what gets everybody moving, is that you use the richness of our economy today and you start investing in the people that helped us get here, and they're going to be part of this wonderful discussion we're having today.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you so much for your leadership. It's been a pleasure to both observe and work with you on this transition, and we look forward to working with you for many, many years. Ross pointed out to me that, and refers back to my earlier comment, that no mayor that whose city has been received this acknowledgement has ever lost re-election. Do want to wish you well.
Pressure on you, but you're going to pull it off.
We do want to wish you well with the Olympic bid today. This is an incredible opportunity. Your team's put together an amazing bid for San Francisco and for the region, and should we be so named to lead the charge on 2024 Olympics, we'll be standing with you to do all the things necessary to make San Francisco be chosen internationally. So thank you very, very much. Ross and the Milken Institute for doing this kind of work and really focusing in on what makes a difference in cities, because, as he said earlier, there's a lot of different ways and there's a lot of different reports that come out rating cities, and some of them you kind of scratch your head and say, you know, how did they come up with this? But this is, you can see there's a serious thinking and metrics went into this process. And we think, of course, as a business and economic organization, that it really focuses on the real stuff that makes or breaks the city, and consistent with our regional economic assessment that the Economic Institute put out a couple of years ago. And we remind folks, for every tech job that gets produced, there's another 4 jobs behind it, a multiplier effect of 5, and there's nothing that comes close to that in any other employment category. And so, you know, what you're seeing is not just a creation of tech jobs, but the creation of an economy that's helping everybody, and with it comes some challenges, and we're here to address some of those things.
Great.
Maybe make a final statement,
Yeah.
and we'll send you all on to lunch.
Yeah, I'll just follow up. Is this on? I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to
No,
It's important to keep in mind that there's a series of objective metrics that are behind this. And I get asked questions a lot of times from those that end up at the bottom of the list. They think somehow we manipulate them. Trust me, there's no manipulation. And there's a review process that takes place that's very thorough. And let me just highlight the point one more time. For a dense urban area like San Francisco to be ranked #1 in this ranking and have the job growth and the wage growth that it has had, it is truly a remarkable performance. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for coming today. As we enter the year 2015, we'll be doing a lot of things, exciting things here at the council with you and organizations that are represented here today. So thank you, and again, we're glad to have you here in San Francisco. You should move the Milken Institute.
Well, we could always open a ranch here.
The expansion. Thank you very much.
You have some available office space?
We'll find something. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.